The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Aha!
Well.
Look at here.
Well. We are back. This is another episode of The Shadow People. I am your host, Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
And today we have a very special guest, none other than our own sister, DJ Soul Sister, is here with us this evening.
Wow.
She's one of the greatest DJs in the world.
Say it
and
again.
I mean the world. I'm gonna say it for the people in the back. I'm say it loud. The people in the world, the greatest DJ on the planet Earth, DJ Soul Sister. Welcome to our show. We are very, very happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm kind of a shy person, so for you to say that, I'm very honored and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, learn how to take a compliment because that's what we all have to do in our lives.
She speaks through the records. That's how she.
Look, and I'm gonna tell y'all, any of y'all who have the opportunity to go and see DJ Soul Sister wherever you can, whether you're in New Orleans, she be all over the place. You know, she is a musician. She is just as much of a musician as the musicians that you know. And I can guarantee you, whenever you go to see her, you are going to leave better than you came. And she is going to give you 90 minutes to 2 hours to even more than that of the truth. You hear me? The truth. I have grown up listening to a wealth of music and records in particular. And there's not much I don't know until I'm around her. I'm telling you, it's a lot of people who could listen. She know how to shut an argument down quick. She can shut that shit down. She's like, nope. And don't try to use Shazam at all.
No,
don't ever do that. The first time, I'm gonna just have my fan moment. I mean, you know, we family and everything, but I'm gonna have my fan moment real quick. It's the first time I ever saw you. Oh, I want to say it was, I don't know, about 15 years ago. Might be longer. I might be tripping. But it was at Mimi's. And it was 4:30 in the morning on a random Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
No, it had to have been on a Saturday.
Okay, it was
Sunday morning.
Okay, well, in those days, I ain't know.
You just didn't go home till Tuesday.
It felt like, yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was very, very early in the morning, and I just remember hearing music that I had never heard before, thinking that I knew everything, and she had that motherfucker jumping all night until the cops came. I don't think they came, but in that area, it may have.
They knew better.
They knew better. They knew what time it was. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you. I'm so excited. And let's talk about some music.
Let's talk about some music.
Look,
right,
I gotta say,
my first question
wait,
is,
hold on, but wait, just one thing, because before we were talking about OZ before we came on camera, and just like because you're training to be a show host now, which we're all here for, obviously.
I'm trying as hard as I can.
When I was training and I became a sub, like one of the first times I subbed, they were like, "Oh, you can sub for DJ Soul Sister on Saturday night." I was like, "What?"
Like,
I was
dude,
like,
what?
And like, so like I had to like have a disclaimer, like, "Yo, this is not," and what you're about to hear is actually not
the views and opinions.
Right, exactly. It's like, please don't call right now. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that. I was like, can y'all just like play one of her old shows or something?
Man.
Why would they do that?
They threw your ass in the heat,
I
boy.
was like, that wasn't fun.
I know that's right.
People was calling in. People was pissed too. Like,
No, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you. They was like,
what?
What the shit is going on? I was like,
I would
look, man. I was like, I got like 10 records I was trying. Like,
like,
know what the hell was going on? Anyway.
Well, my first question to you is, how did all this trouble begin?
Yeah, I'm very curious.
How did all this trouble be? Yes.
No, I'm just playing. No, that's an inside joke for all y'all that don't know. Well, we're glad to have you. My first question for you is, and this was a question that my wife wanted me to ask you, is really, how did it all begin for you? How did your love for records become the person who you are today?
Gee whiz. Gosh, I don't know how to answer that in a short, succinct sort of way.
But we got an hour. Take all the time.
So what is the question? How did I love music?
Well, not how did you love music, but like, okay, I'll just give you an example. I became a musician because I grew up around records, and records are very, very special to me. And to be quite honest, I prefer to sit and listen to records than to sit and watch people play music, to be honest. And that's not being a bad, and I hope that don't come off the wrong way.
I know what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a connection that I feel every time I pull out a record, put it on the turntable, and listen to the crackle as soon as I play something. So those are the things that I associate with making my own music, right? And so I guess my question is, what of those things are you that enticed with that keep you doing it? You know what I mean?
Okay. I'll just start off by saying I'm not a vinyl snob. There's this term vinyl snob where it's all about wax. I'm not that, but I've been collecting records since I was little. And, I've amassed a lot of records.
Yeah.
So when people, tell me in conjunction with my DJing and performing, switch to Serato, I can't digitize 15,000 albums. That's not something I can do as a human being. It's close to that. So,
and I thought I was.
So your second house that you have for these records,
right?
Were you?
And I love the thrill, the craft of actually mixing. It's like a roller coaster. Yeah, people can do it on a computer, and that's great because at the end of the day, it's about the music. It's about the music. But for me personally, I love the thrill of mixing two records. That's a skill where you listening to two things and you have to make them sound like one together. No one can know. Yeah. It can't sound crazy. It can't be train wrecky.
Yeah.
I love that skill, and I love watching people do it, and I love doing it myself. It's a sacrifice because it entails carrying turntables, which are heavy, carrying special, bags made for vinyl, which is heavy. I actually work out so I can do those things, lift and carry. And it also entails explaining to venues why my sound has to be a certain way. They can't just leave me up there by myself. I need the same things that the traditional musicians need. I need a monitor. I need a front of house engineer. I need all of these things in order to do it. Right. I do it because I love it. The end.
Well, there you go.
So what was the first record that got you where you knew ooh?
I have some stories that pop up in my mind from when I was little that I always go back to. So for context, and I'm not one of these people who's like, I don't want you to know my age. I want everyone to know my age. I'm proud.
You're like Ted Ross.
Well, I know you graduated high school a year after me, so I know your exact age. This is a milestone year for you, I think.
Yeah. I will be 50 in September, and I'm when I have my big birthday show. That's right. When I have my big birthday show, that will be a part of my message. So I was born in 1975, and I remember, and there's pictures to document this. In 1979, there's a photograph of me opening a Christmas present on Christmas Day, and it's an album, The Commodore's Midnight Magic from 1979. It had to have been Christmas 79, yes. And, I loved that music. I loved the funk.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the funk. And people often say, oh, you must have gotten it from your parents or someone. Actually, no. I just loved it intuitively.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anyone playing it around me.
Mm-hmm.
My dad wasn't into it. My mom sure wasn't into it. Another story that I remember happening, I was with my dad and some of his friends, and I asked my dad to bring me to the record store and to buy me Oops Upside Your Head. And I'll never forget, all his friends started laughing and cracking up. I was dead serious. I wanted the record. Oops Upside Your Head.
How old were you?
Oh, well, if I was born in 75, this had to have been, because that album came out 79, 80, around there.
Yeah.
And then around 80, 81, this is the story that I always revert back to. My dad, again, because he had some records. He was into more Lou Rawls, Quincy Jones, Earth, Wind & Fire. He wasn't into P-Funk or anything like that. He, no.
Right.
He hadn't done psychedelics.
Yeah, no. No, Teddy Pendergrass,
Yeah.
We knew
George
he was into.
Benson.
We got it.
Yes.
Mhm.
He loved that. He brought me to Sound Warehouse in Metairie, where, well, it was a party city. They closed it down on Vets Boulevard. And they had a tent sale outside where all of the cutouts and the discounted records that they were trying to give away were at. He told me I could buy a record, and I'm looking. And that year, 1980, the big hit was Celebration by Kool and the Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And me, 5, 6 years old, I see this album, Kool and the Gang, Music is the Message, which had a big blue album cover, Ice Cube on it. And I see Kool and the Gang, and I'm like, oh, Celebration. Like, I don't know that this is actually an album, a cutout from 1972, dead stock that they're trying to give away because no one else wants it.
Right.
I just think, oh, this is what I want because I'm like, Celebration. And I go home, put it on my Fisher-Price record player, and there's no Celebration. There's nothing that sounds remotely like Celebration on this album. To me, when I listened to it, I just loved that sound. It is that harder sound. And I love both eras of Kool and the Gang. I love pre-JT Taylor, and I love JT Taylor era.
Right.
I love them both. But this was pre, and there was no JT Taylor. It was like a harder sound.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want all the music. I just remember being like, I just love I love this music, and I love music.
That's incredible.
My favorite Kool and the Gang record is the live one, Live at PJ's. I think that's my favorite Kool and the Gang record. There's a song on there called Rick Sonata, I think it's called. And I've been trying to get Lettuce to play it for a really long time, and think I'm getting close. We already play Who's Gonna Take the Weight.
Okay.
We play that, so we're getting close.
A funny thing about that record, that was done with canned crowd noise, so it's not like,
exactly, just
they
like
called
Sex
it
Machine.
live, and just like, well, it wasn't canned noise, but Trouble Funk, Straight Up Funk Go-Go Style from 81. It was technically live, but not in a club. They actually did that in the studio.
Right.
So there's all of these hilarious
different
studio
terminologies of
stories.
how they say, how they present it to people.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. I actually have two questions, but I'm trying to figure out which one I want to ask first. You said you got 15,000.
Right.
Damn.
I counted.
Jamie
I
would throw me out the
estimated.
house if I had any more than what I got.
How do you
right
find
now.
them? What's your?
Well,
I mean, should they like study your system and like put it in like universities? I'm just asking.
It's a problem. There's no, seriously, diggers. We have a problem. We have a problem. There's some albums I'll see, we say in the wild, and I'm like, I know I already have this, but I haven't seen it in a few years, so maybe I need to buy it again, or I'll buy a second or third copy of something just in case. Like it's a weird tick of some sort.
Yeah, nothing has ever stopped me from buying a record that I may or may not have.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll come home because I like to go record shopping in Europe. When I go to Europe, that's when I really like to go, because I like things that are very much out of print, you know. And I've called you many times, like, yo, help me. Oh, okay. Here's a funny story about that. I went to Europe with Lettuce about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was gung-ho about this record called The Man with the Icy Eyes, and it's a soundtrack. It's an Italian soundtrack from, I want to say, 1971. And I'm telling you, I looked under every rock, nook, and cranny of Europe looking for this record. And I get home, and 2 days when I get home,
I remember that.
she calls me and she says, "Hey, I got something for you. I'm right by your house. I'm gonna stop by." I'm like, "All right, cool." And I go outside, and here this motherfucker go
with the record,
with the goddamn record.
Mm-hmm.
Where did
You mean to tell me I don't know where you found it? You probably had it.
Right. She probably got 3 of them.
She probably got 3 of them.
Right.
You know? I'm like, where the fuck did you find this record? Because I literally, I was going crazy. I was upset. I got to a point where and I remember when I was in, what's the name of that place? It was in Italy. I can't remember where it was, but it was in Italy, and I was visibly upset. And I went to like 3 record stores. And Zoidus looked at me. He's like, "What's wrong with you, bro?" And I'm like, "Man, I cannot find this record," because he knows I've been looking. Because that's what we do. Him and I venture off and we go looking for records. And I was like, "I can't find this record." And I was like, "Fuck it, I give up." And as soon as I get home, here she come. Honk the horn. I come downstairs. She's like, "I can't come in, but here you go."
Right.
I'm like, "You motherfucker."
I probably went on Discogs.
Probably.
Okay, so is that the plug?
Yeah.
No, look.
Okay.
I got a question. So, you know, you discovered all this music when you're 5, 6 years old. So flash forward to when you were in high school. What was it like for you? Because were you still listening to the funk when all the other girls were listening to what was out at the time? SWV and
I'm laughing because I often say or remember to myself, if there's anybody in the world who would not be surprised by, you know, who I am now and what I do, it would be my high school classmates. I was hardcore Parliament Funkadelic fan in high school, which was 89 through 93, which is not the time of Parliament Funkadelic fandom, you know. I first saw George Clinton.
What? 89?
Smoking more than that. Smoking more than that.
I first saw P-Funk live when I was a senior in high school. They played the Sanger Theater, and I was full on, and I wanted to recruit all my high school classmates into Uncle Jam's army. That was like my main goal. For Halloween for my senior year, I dressed as George Clinton. So they all know know me as that. And then, you know, I was also into hip hop too. And that was during the time of what I call the wild world of sampling. Like tons of sampling. No one is clearing samples. Everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like the Debbie Downer. You know, well, people would hear a song and I'd be like, "Well, you know where that comes from."
Right.
And they'd be like, "Oh God, here she comes."
They used to hate us.
Just ruining every song. Yeah.
You just ruin everything. Like Kanye walked in the room. Oh man, here we go. Here comes this nigga. Yes.
But I wanted everyone to be in on this journey. I was voted the friendliest of my high school class, but I was kind of weird because I was very much like, you know, Uncle Jam wants you to funk with him. Like I go up to people and I'd say that.
Right. So when was your first gig?
As Soul Sister, as DJ Soul
just
Sister?
as in, you know. I mean, I DJ'd a few junior high parties when I was like maybe freshman in high school.
I didn't DJ until I was in 97. So I was in college time. And I'd already started with OZ. So WWOZ came first.
Got you.
And through that, I met a friend who was like, you need to be doing this out in the clubs, out in the street. And I said, well, I thought about it, but, it just didn't work out. I actually, during high school, asked my dad to buy me some DJ gear. And he did. He bought me a Radio Shack realistic mixer and 2 turntables, but they were belt drive instead of direct drive. So belt drive is like the home model. You can't really DJ with them. So they just sat in a corner in my house untouched throughout high school. And then one day, after all of that was over, I went to my mom and I'm like, hey, remember that gear my dad bought me? Where is that? And she said, oh, I gave that to Goodwill. And I'm like, what? And I drove to Odyssey Records in Carrollton Shopping Mall. I'll never forget. It was pouring, raining, flooding. The streets were flooding. I didn't care at that moment. I'm like, I'm going to buy me some gear.
Yeah.
Went there, had a little, college credit card. I remember it. I think it was like a DJ starter pack. It was like $300, and the card was flagged because it had never seen a charge that big on it before, and then it was clear that I bought it at home. And the guy from Odyssey actually was like, do you want me to show you how to put this together? I'm like, yeah. So he followed me. And so all of that to say, this friend named Sarah Fritz, and I give her all the credit because there would be no DJ Soul Sister. Soul Sister is my on-air radio name on WWOZ. My theme song is Bold Soul Sister by Ike and Tina Turner. And Sarah, in 97, she moved here for a little while. She was living in Atlanta. And she said, you need to do this. And I said, well, I don't have a place to do it. She said, well, I work at a bar. This was a place called the Caddy Shack on Poydras Street. It's now Daisy Mae's restaurant or something. I forget what it is now. A lot of DJs were playing there. I said, but I've never done this. I don't have any gear. She said, oh, my boyfriend plays. He'll give it to you. I said, I don't know what to do with it. Right. We worked all of that out. Then I said, I can't do it because I'm a shy person. And she literally cursed me out. She's like, yeah, you're going to do it. I'm like, who's going to be there? She's like, I'll promote it. So she's the reason that I started doing that. And that was in 97.
And thank God for her.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Sarah Fritz.
Sarah Fritz. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
She's the one.
Hopefully, we're doing a lot of fantastic things. Hopefully, we have Sarah Fritz on the show. Sarah, where you at? You have a phrase that I like to use from time to time, and I always give you credit because I learned it from you. But you talk about feeling the feeling.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I know that can be difficult to explain sometimes. But because you're on the hot seat and we're on a podcast right now, I'm going to ask you to help me explain to people what feeling the feeling is.
For me, that's exactly how it sounds. Right. Feeling the feeling. I have another thing that I like to say when I play, and that's to put your hips into it. Meaning don't get hung up on your feet or anything, but everything is about the hips.
Right.
And feeling the feeling for me, when I play, I can't just hear a sound. I make sure in my monitor that there's enough low in there so that I feel it. And I have a signal to front of house sound. If I do this, I need more low because I need to actually feel it. I DJ everything barefoot so that I can feel the feeling.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there was an interview where someone was recalling George Clinton talking about recording and being barefoot with that same energy in mind to feel it because it comes up through the floor.
Yeah,
So that's very real
Yeah.
for me playing, as well as I want people to feel the music. Don't just be, stuck in
they can't feel it unless you feeling it.
And that too.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. Like,
That
you
too.
know, I take up a lot of real estate on stage with my gear, and I turn it up. I turn it up, not for you, just so I can feel it.
That's right.
And
that's right.
it does definitely help to make the point.
And you have to love. For me, I have to love what I'm playing and enjoy myself. One of the best DJs I ever saw, very early on, was a young woman, and she wasn't a turntablist. She wasn't cutting, scratching, doing tricks. She wasn't even mixing or blending, but she was just so into the music, feeling the feeling. I'm like, you can't help but to have a good time.
Right.
Me just watching her, it made me want to dance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the energy around that.
That's all right.
Well,
on that note, we're
going to take a break, huh?
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with some more questions.
I have more questions.
We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, wow.
We got a whole lot of more. We'll be right back after these messages. I'm Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
And this is DJ Soul Sister. Stay tuned to the Shadow People. Next segment coming up.
Wow.
All right. I can't wait until you actually see the episode, because the little picture that they put in between the segments when we take a break. Wait till I ain't gonna tell you the rest of the people, they didn't just seen it, but wait till you see it. You're gonna laugh. Go ahead. You had something you wanted to do.
Yeah, I got a great question. I say it's great. No, anyway, how do you feel
when we had night shows?
Exactly.
Night shows get lit in here.
How do you feel?
Like
I feel like that you are some type of deity in a way on the music scene here, and how you have influenced the musicians. Because think about it, like there's no DJs trying to play keyboards or drums or guitar, but like there's loads of musicians trying to DJ. I'm including many people in this room when I say that. And I feel like you're somewhat responsible for that in a good way. I'm just saying, but how does it make you feel? Seeing that, like,
wow,
musicians DJing, you feel like you, how do you feel about it? Just curious.
Wow, I didn't know. I'm very honored for that. I will say, my friend Christian McBride, he told me, Ted, yeah.
Hi, Ted. We're going to have Ted on the show.
Yep, there we go.
Good, yeah.
We're going to get Ted.
He told me that I inspired him to want to DJ. And I'm like,
DJ Brother Mister.
That's right. That's right. That's his DJ name, his brother Mister. And for me, I would tell anybody, I don't care who you are, if you in it for the right reasons, do it to death. Love music and don't train wreck.
Yeah, that's
no
right.
train wrecks.
You know what?
Hashtag no train wrecks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I want that need to be a shirt.
Right.
I can think of a lot of people out just go pass that shirt.
Just slip it to them. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Hey, my man. You know,
right.
So I DJ occasionally from time to time. And when I first started DJing, I had all of these questions about, how to be dope doing it. And you were one of the first people I called. And, she said the same thing to me. She said, don't think about nothing. You already know what music makes you feel good, and you play that. Don't sell out a club and play Sun Ra. Don't do that.
Right.
unless that's your audience.
Yeah, I mean,
it might work.
You never know.
But that's the point, is your ability to read the room.
Reading the room is very important.
I'm just saying.
No, because I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that, because I can look at everybody, y'all in this room. I don't have mental telepathy skill. I don't have psychic friend network skill.
Miss Cleo.
I can't. I don't
Dionne
know.
Warwick, she gonna play some Dionne.
You're right. I was like, wait a second.
And
Dion used
I
to be
get
high
it.
as hell too. Never
know
mind.
what I'm saying?
Sorry.
I used to say the same shit.
And
No,
I
I read
understand when people say that, but I've never. That doesn't make sense to me because here's two reasons why I don't like it, and other people can like it, right on. But it's just me. Read a room, so that essentially means okay, I'm going to look at people and assume that they want to hear a thing. How can someone do that? You can't. You cannot. And second, it sets you up for not believing in yourself as an artist. I call myself a DJ artist because I only play what I want. I go to see artists create and be themselves and express who they are.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like, oh, I'm just going to play what I think people want to hear, then you remove yourself out of the equation as an artist, and anybody can play a record that someone else tells them to do. You might as well just be a human jukebox then.
Right.
So I never understood that. I mean, I get what people mean when they say that, but then I'm like, why, how and why can you do that? I can't look at y'all and be like, I know what y'all want to hear right now. I don't. And then because I've been consistent in what I play, people come to see me for what I do. And that's really, at the end of the day, as an artist,
That's it.
what
Right.
you want.
Right. Of course.
You don't want someone to be like, yeah, I want them to play the same thing I listen to at my house. That's not it.
Well, I listen to some wild shit in my house. So
Good, and you should play that too.
And-
And then you'll
and
turn people
a lot
on
of,
to
and
it.
a lot of times I sneak a lot of that in. A lot of times I sneak a lot of it in, and you know, a lot of my time when I DJ is I fortunate enough to DJ a lot of times before lettuce shows, so it can be a big room in Chicago.
You had a good set when I saw you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in Houston, you know, and I go out there and I try to use you as inspiration to just go out there and just tell people the truth. You
That's
know,
right.
this is the shit I listen to. This is what I listen to all the time, and this is what makes me feel good when I'm listening to music. So
I mean, that's
here
why I
you go.
love doing the kitchen sink.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
kid,
like-
yeah, exactly. Here you go.
It's like-
You know what I'm saying?
Like, what are we feeling like today?
Yeah. Like you're
Yeah.
playing your set. What are people gonna do? Say, I'm leaving? Like, no.
Yeah, you can leave if you want. Ain't no
Yeah, they
refunds.
can. They actually.
You already paid to
can.
get
You
in
already
here.
paid to get in
Right,
here. No
exactly.
refunds.
It's all good.
You ain't getting it back.
No.
Hey,
No refunds. Hashtag no refunds.
Hashtag no refunds. That's what it's gonna say on the back. Okay. You said you had 15,000 records. I'm still on that. 5 records. Desert Island.
oh
Which
my
ones are
God.
they?
Oh,
You
wow.
got 5. You got to narrow it down to 5, and I get the
This is
remaining
this is a
14,000.
very IG type of question. I like
Is
it.
it? Is it?
No, I love it.
Well,
I'm
you know, we got a lot of people watching this on Instagram.
I know.
so,
I appreciate it.
So here you go.
I'll always call my favorite LP, which is Music is the Message by
Mhm.
Kool and the Gang from 1972. You know, that could change often. So just, I'm going to call an album like, you might be surprised by this, Grover Washington Jr. Live at the Bijou from 1977.
I love that record.
I grew up on that record. That record
Come on, y'all. It's
just
Saturday night.
makes me, that's what he says in the
Yeah.
song. It makes me feel so good. The James Brown, The Payback from 73.
Yep. Blah, blah, blah.
From start to end. And 2 more. Gee. Because for me, albums are harder. Those are 3 that I can listen to from start to end. No skip.
Yeah.
You know what? I just call it one, and I don't think about this album enough. By Slave, Stone Jam from 1980.
Okay.
From start to end, no skips. Ooh. Golly. I haven't called any Parliament Funkadelic albums, and they're my favorite band of all time. But there's usually a song, maybe two, that I might skip, so I can't call an album for them. If you ask me about an album, I'm gonna give you one where I'm not lifting the needle at all.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
She knew how to answer this one.
Yeah, I was
I knew this was the right answer. All right, you still got one more.
Yeah, okay.
And you next. So,
Okay.
you better get it together.
All right. Well, I'm going to say one that was influential to me. And yeah, I wouldn't pick the needle off of it. I'll say The Meters Fire on the Bayou from 1975.
Start to finish.
Yeah.
Side A and side B.
Yeah.
Yep. For me.
Wow.
A lot of people call Rejuvenation. For me, it's going to be Fire on the Bayou. That's just for me.
Is there any particular reason why, other than it's just you?
I like the way the whole album feels and fits together. I like every song on the record. There's one on Rejuvenation that I one, maybe two that I would skip over. So for me, that's the one I have no skips.
That's a solid 5.
Wow.
That's a solid 5.
But with that said, a song like It Ain't No Use by The Meters from Rejuvenation, that song itself might top everything on Fire on the Bayou.
No. I feel you
That's
on that.
one song.
Ain't no use is
Right.
exactly. It's on everybody's top list.
And the whole thing, the whole
Yeah.
song, we're like, I like to go and hit the digital jukebox in the bar sometime. Just be like, here you go, 15 minutes of The Meters, right on, let's party.
Just taking like an 8-minute solo, just pushing it. Yep.
Were you one of them kids that stared at the album cover while they were listening to it and like imagined yourself in it? Because I definitely was when I was growing up, because I learned how to reading liner notes. I actually, like, my father taught me my father used to sit down with me and listen to records with me when I was like 3 and 4 years old. And I went into school telling people when Breezin' was recorded, who was on it. I knew about Harvey Mason, and they're like, who is that? And I'm like, you don't know Harvey Mason? As a child, know?
Right.
And I was just always one of them people that looked at the record covers and, saw how the music and the record covers.
It evoked the whole feeling. The
Yeah,
visuals,
it was a whole thing.
Uh-huh.
That to me is part of the listening experience when it comes to listening to vinyl. Were you one of those people?
I can answer that in two ways. So you asked about looking at album covers to feel like I was a part of it, and also looking at album covers. So for me, the first answer I'll give is to feel I was a part of it. I loved album cover art, right? I have these strange memories of being scared to death of Jackson's album covers, like Michael Jackson Off the Wall with his like radioactive socks on the back, like that. I didn't want to be in the same room with that album cover. I thought it had evil powers. It scared the hell out of me.
Wow.
And then there's the Destiny album by the Jacksons.
Fire.
Yeah, it looks like they're literally
look like
about to fall off
They
into
were definitely
the
trying to
depths
scare
of
some
hell.
people.
Yeah. I was scared of those album covers. The Triumph album too. Like I was scared of all
I'm
these
glad I
album
didn't wear that
covers.
shirt today.
I was like fascinated by those album covers.
I used to love the peacock on the back of it, and it was my mother's favorite bird too.
You got a poster, where the one where Michael was wearing the yellow sweater.
Oh yeah,
The poster.
Thriller.
It was
Yeah.
No. It was the brothers. It wasn't Triumph or Destiny. It was the other one.
Was it?
Can You Feel It?
Oh God, that video scared the living
it was all
hell
them
when he
fire
clapped
out
under
of
the
me.
fire,
Yeah.
and he was
Still.
sprinkling the magic,
Right.
the magic
Tito
dust.
with the guitar had the fire coming out the.
I didn't want any
The
part of it.
AK-47 guitar.
Right, exactly. Shooting fire.
You know what? Now that you mentioned it, them videos were fucking
Demonic.
scary as shit,
Demonic.
bro.
So scary.
Weird.
Scary.
Yo,
Thriller. Like I
hold
couldn't
up.
sleep with the light off for a year after I saw that video come on.
Friday night videos.
Yeah.
I saw it on MTV. We had MTV.
Well, I mean, all of that I feel like led up to Thriller. It's like, all right, well, now it's just me now. Oh, let's go. Vincent Price, but yeah.
Even the Thriller album cover, like there's something about it. This is how much I remember looking at this album cover. Michael Jackson's wrist, there's like 2 bones sticking up that used to freak me out. I was just like, ugh. So anyway.
We're going to have to get a close-up on that in post.
And the tiger, like, I didn't like it.
But you were good with Prince, though, huh? Prince album covers.
Yes. That's a whole other story. Because my relationship to Prince was through cassette tape, actually. So that came right after Michael Jackson. So that's an interesting story.
I'm also Prince. See, segue.
Okay.
Prince. See. At Essence, which was like one of the best shows ever. But then, what happened since then? I'm just asking the question. Because I remember Prince at Essence, and I remember that.
Right.
And I was like, damn.
Right.
Then.
And now people don't go on until 4:30 in the morning.
I heard it wasn't their fault, but I'm just asking about it just in general. I'm just saying what's going on. What's because I was saying maybe they should move to Atlanta.
Oh.
She don't like that to happen. She don't like that.
Jamie said the same thing. She said,
No.
she peeked around the corner. She said, huh?
Right. I like that. That's the reaction I want to get, though.
I don't know. I just heard a lot of shit about Essence this year, and it made me glad to be in the house. And if I'm being real, I'm gonna just go ahead and say the shit because this is the podcast and this is what we do. But I am gonna say that no, it's cool, but I feel like this morning I read a thing on Instagram where there was an open letter to Essence written by Stephanie Mills, who is, for those of you who don't know, Stephanie Mills is one of the most amazing R&B vocalists of our time. She was the original Dorothy from The Wiz. She has countless songs that are top 10 hits for the last 50 fucking years. Go look her up. She wrote a open letter to Essence talking about the incompetence of the people, the sound people who were, just like you said earlier, you know, it's important that when you book somebody that their shit needs to be right and they need to have what they need to have in order to go up and play. And then, now granted, it's a festival, you know, we're musicians, we've all done throw and go situations. We know how that goes, and we know that everything isn't always going to be there all the time, no matter who you are. I get that. But for someone who I know does not have like in a whole extravagant situation, she don't have a 20 fucking piece band.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She's probably got 6-7 people at most. Okay? And for her to have felt the need to go online and call out Essence on that, it must not have been, it must have been really bad. And the last time I went to Essence, fortunately, I got to sit up, and Nado was the person who I got the ticket from, which to me is
wild.
That's some wild shit.
Yeah.
If y'all know Nado, y'all know he the last motherfucker you would expect to see at Essence Fest. Anyway, he got me tickets to go see Maze at the Superdome, and I sat right in front. And I got to see Frankie. That was really the last time I actually like really saw him. And even then, Frankie was cussing the people out. So I just feel like this is the reason why it's difficult for us as Black people to have things, because when we get an opportunity to use our resources and finally have the stage, I feel like there's a lack of professionalism that goes on, and there's a lack of, I'm trying to think of the right word. You know what I'm trying to say? what's missing is the professionalism that you would get anywhere else.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Minus the.
This is the thing, though. Essence, it's 30 years old. Like it, it wasn't always like that, and I think some of that started to happen is when the black people lost control of it. Like that's it was actually better, I think, when it was run by a smaller entity.
Right.
When it sold out to a bigger conglomerate, that's kind of when it started to get messed up, I think, actually. And also, I think like the state gave them $2 million less than they normally do. So that's where you cut corners, is with the sound and the hospitality, but that reflects bad. But I understand. See what I'm saying? It's a very,
I understand.
It's a slippery slope, is all I'm saying.
I understand it's a slippery slope, but I mean, I've been to different festivals that have ran better on less money. Yeah. I'm not sitting there now. Look, I'm not. Well, I was about to say something. You're about to get me in trouble. But I've been to festivals that have worked on less money and have done the things that they were supposed to do in those terms, and seen these very same artists and I'm not talking about anything that I've performed at. I've been to festivals that I know have worked on less money and has been able to give people what they need. So all I'm saying is that this could be an opportunity for the people at Essence to really think about what they're doing, so that next year there are not so many complaints. That's how I feel about it. That's my 2 cents. How do you feel about that?
I can't. I've seen all of the commentary,
Mm-hmm.
and I can only speak to my time when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was the main stage Superdome DJ from 2008 to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first one, and I came
Flex.
in. Well, I mean, I'm honored. It was an honor because I really come from that Susan Taylor era of Essence festivals when it was started, and she was still there when I started in 2008, and in 2009 she was not. But I was brought in with a new production company, Rayhaj Productions, and they changed the scope. They made the stage, they increased the production value, so it was no longer, curtains opening and closing, and they added lights and LED lights, and they brought me as part of that look, and I had my own booth with my name rolling across like it was flashy, and it was we ran on time. I just remember it not being what people are complaining about today.
That's what I'm saying.
When I was there. And this is actually a good opportunity for me to kind of explain what I do as a DJ. I'm very specific to the music I love, which is funk, disco, soul, what they call old school, R&B. 70s and 80s is where I live. So when I started, Essence Festival was that.
Right.
In fact, I get mad at myself because I used to take it for granted when Barry White was playing Essence Festival with his full orchestra. I didn't go. I'm like, oh yeah, there will be another time. We took all these things for granted. Luther Vandross and all of these classic artists, people who are no longer with us. And the second year I was there, Essence Leadership. These are the conversations that I was hearing about. It was Essence Leadership decision to term, I heard, skew younger. And so 2009 was the final year that Maze featuring Frankie Beverly was there. And it was Essence's decision to push them out. That's why they closed out Jazz Fest after that, because the previous producers before Rayhouse Productions was Festival Productions. That's why that happened. And the final year I was there, 2010, was a new host, Nephew Tommy. The first 2 years was Jonathan Slocum, comedian. And all 3 years were great fun. nephew Tommy, he had his own DJ. So no one had to tell me this is your final year. I just kind of knew. In fact, I remember a phone call I got and they wanted to talk about skits and sketches and comedy bits they wanted me to do. And I'm thinking, I'm not Ed McMahon. I don't do comedy, you know. I'm just going to
I barely talk. I'm not
no.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember the first year they set me up with a microphone. I'm like, no, you don't need that. I'm not going to get on it. You know, that's not who I am. So and it didn't make sense because the festival was already saying they wanted to skew younger. So it didn't make sense for me to be playing Phyllis Hyman records and Confunction songs before Rihanna or Kanye West. It didn't make any sense. So I knew it was time. And I had my fun, but I'm not going to change who I am. So,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. There it is. Derrick, top 5 records. Go.
Oh, I thought I was going to skate over that.
No, we're not. I'm not going to let you.
I was going to say Songs in the Key of Life. Just a record I can listen to all the way through without skipping. I mean, as I get older, I skip some, but when I was younger, I didn't. That's just honest.
Yeah.
Rebirth, Flag, Donny Hathaway. When love has grown.
Yes.
The whole record. That.
When the tears that are cried can be the sweet tears of joy. That's okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
See, that's what happens.
That's one.
I see why. There you go.
It's a hard question.
It's a hard question.
Yeah, especially when you come from 15,000 fucking records.
I would say Fresh, Sly and the Family Stone.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy one.
Yep.
No skips. Shit. There's
I just thought of my 5th one when you're done with yours.
You are a big 5.
No, I didn't.
One?
Oh, I did, huh?
You sneaking one? You sneaking the little 45 in one?
Yeah, she gonna sneak one in.
A little something extra.
I forgot.
A little B-side.
I got one.
You can do a B-side. Shit. How many I got? 3?
That's 3.
Oh, I would say Asia.
Asia. Great record.
Yeah.
Yep.
Purple Pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
I'm gonna say one of the Sade records. I don't know which one though. I guess
Sade's
Diamond Life.
Diamond Life?
Yeah.
Diamond Life's not that's the one I would pick if I would pick.
Okay, cool. That's what I got. That's all.
I got 2 more.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
2 more.
So she's gonna take 7.
Yes.
And she should because she has 15,000.
Right, exactly.
7 is not too much to ask.
Bar-Kays' Light of Life from 1978, and Larry Dotson from the Bar-Kays, he wrote a book, a memoir, and in it he says Light of Life was like the biggest piece of trash they ever released, and it's actually one of my favorite albums of all time.
That's how it always happens. Yeah. Actually, it always happens that way. You put out a record you think is complete shit, and you touch somebody's soul with it. And you never let it go.
You never know.
So.
And Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, Inspiration from 1979. Yeah.
Shout out to Frankie Beverly. We miss you. We're going to take a short pause for the calls, and we'll be right back after these messages and the news with Danny Abel.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of news.
Set up a camera.
We got a lot of news, so stay tuned. Right. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we are back with the Shadow People. I am Nigel Hall.
I'm Derrick Freeman.
We have our esteemed guest, DJ Soul Sister. And before we go to the news with Danny Abel, I'm going to just give my top 5 because I know that y'all not going to let me walk out of here without giving it. So I'm going to do my best to not take a lot of time coming up with this top 5. And in no order, my top 5 is as follows. Let There Be Funk by Patrice Rushen.
I was just listening.
Just
listening to that today.
Damn, I only picked one. George Duke, Feel.
Yeah.
Body Heat by James Brown.
Wow.
Was that 3? Okay. Smackwater Jack by Quincy Jones. And damn.
But not Quincy Jones' Body Heat. Just
I know
Water Jack, but I see.
Right.
I got it. No, I got it.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you. All right.
It's in
I just
there.
had to put it. My mind was like,
It's in
wait,
there,
what?
but it ain't in there.
Yeah, I got you.
And the last one is Journey to Love by Stanley Clarke.
Oh.
Journey to Love
That's a
by
good
Stanley Clarke. And that's because of my dad. Because my father.
And Chicory on that record?
And Yep, Chicory. A lot of people on that record. Steve Gadd on that record. Chicory, Stanley Clarke, George Duke, John McLaughlin, Jeff Beck.
Steve Gadd, also Peter Erskine too, huh?
No. David Sanchez is though. David Sanchez is it's a lot. It's a fusion shit.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm playing that at a DJ set, y'all need to come check on me. So
Feeling the feeling.
Yep, feeling the feeling. You know I feel it then, boy. Yeah.
Can I have one more?
No, you cannot.
Well, I got one. Okay, wait. How about this? Give me your soundtracks. Give me 3.
Okay, yeah.
Three.
Okay,
Three
top
soundtracks.
Okay,
Three
we'll go
soundtracks.
We'll go top 3.
Well, we all
soundtracks
know
I mean-
one of them is. Let's just say not the Wiz, so we could just not have just leave the Wiz out. We just gonna say we know that's there.
The Wiz is definitely getting snuck in as contraband.
Right.
We'll just leave it at that.
Exactly.
So the
We're
Wiz
just gonna
is
say,
there.
well, we can play it. It's just in the regular bin. We
Right.
didn't even got to specify because.
But if we taking only 3 on a desert island, there is no regular bin.
Okay.
So it's the 3 records we got.
All right, you're right. Okay, all right,
So it's either the Wiz or it's not.
you got
Who's
it. I
going
mean,
first?
I'm
You wanna go
asking.
first? We'll have our guest
Yeah, exactly.
go first.
So I can't have one more. Okay.
You can. Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. This is. She's slowly sneaking her.
It's gonna get to 10.
No,
It's gonna get
'cause
to 10.
It's gonna get to 10,000.
Right.
I thought no, it won't. I thought of a
Yes, it will.
story. I thought of a story related to this.
Okay.
That's good.
Gap Band 3 from 1980.
It was to talk about the cowboy hats.
Yeah.
See,
It
Right,
has
That's literally how it happened.
Watch the whole thing unfold. Y'all missed it, but I saw this whole shit about to happen. Anyway, go ahead.
it has 2 songs that, if you don't have the album, you may have heard of. It has Yearning for Your Love on it and Burn Rubber on Me. But the whole album from start to end is I love it so much. Humpin' is on it. I bought this album. My cousin bought it for me when it came out in 1980, and I'm like 5 or 6. And he bought it for me. He was graduating from St. Aug High School, and I guess their class song or something was this really slow ballad called "Nothing Comes to Dreamers, Nothing Comes to Sleepers But a Dream" or something like that. Slow thing. And he bought it for me so I could listen to that song and be inspired as a little girl or whatever. And I got the album and I turned it on the other side. They had a song called Gash, 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 which is like a wild funk song. And that's at 6 years old. That's what I wanted. I didn't want any part of the
Gas.
And look, I'm almost 50. I just found out what that meant 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god!
Right.
I'm like a little girl, like gas. I'm like,
No, I used to sing "Ring My Bell" all the time as a kid. I didn't know what that meant either, so I got older. I used to love that song. Yeah.
So that tells you about me. Like I wanted to jam.
She wanted the funk.
I didn't want no slow, sappy songs.
There was a show that we did together where you came on the mic and said, "We want the funk." I remember that. We won't get into that though. No, but if we're gonna
soundtracks.
we're gonna go soundtracks.
Soundtracks.
Okay. I'm gonna say Shaft by Isaac Hayes. This is hard because I don't have the soundtracks in my mind like that. Y'all already called The Wiz, but that's, as an album, I don't know. I'll come back to that.
Did we just get flexed on right now?
No.
I just feel like we just got. I feel like
She
we
just
just
said
got
as
flexed
an
on.
album.
Well,
You know
no,
what I'm
because
saying?
it's
I
a
was like,
two
all right.
record set. There's a lot on there.
Well, There's the thing that a lot of people don't know about The Wiz. Some people do, but a lot of people don't. Is that The Wiz was a play before it was a movie.
Yep.
There are a lot. I am surprised at the amount of people who don't realize that this was a play before it was a movie. And there are even more people that don't even know that it's a movie. There are a lot of people, but we won't get into that part.
Yeah, so my blood pressure was jumping. Don't do that.
I see your eyes roll out the side of your head.
Don't do that.
Look, so, but I will say that because it was a play first, the first soundtrack of The Wiz was a play, the play version.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of songs on that version that aren't on the movie soundtrack.
Facts.
And for my first pick for soundtracks is the play version.
Wow.
Because that is the version
has all the good
that
shit.
has all of the good shit on it to me.
That.
And you can listen to that and definitely hear the difference. Now, yeah, when you listen to the movie soundtrack, you know, there's no You Can't Win on there because they wrote that whole song for Michael Jackson, you know? But there is a song called I Was Born the Day Before Yesterday, and that was the original Scarecrow song.
Wow.
And to me, truthfully, if I were to cover one, it would be that one, you know, because I feel, again, that I can relate to that more. And to be honest, the play album actually folds me up more than the movie soundtrack.
Yeah,
and the movie soundtrack only has...
also, just because it has those moments, it has those like intimate moments in it,
Man.
and the string arrangements and all that. It like really like gets
when
you.
Stephanie Mills sings "Soon as I Get Home,"
it's a different
man,
it's a different vibe.
You know, like look, no shade to Diana Ross because I can't sit here and lie and say that I haven't cried to that version on the 405. Okay, but when you hear Stephanie sing it, it is something else going on. And there had to have been something else going on in the studio. And there's a whole, you know. So, yeah, The Wiz, the play version is probably I will take that over the movie soundtrack any day. Number 2 for me is going to be 3 Days on the Condor by Dave Grusin. It's a soundtrack from 1974. Capitol Records. See, I know a little bit about that too. Capitol Records. Dave Grusin, Harvey Mason, Chuck Rainey, Lee Ritenour as the core band with an amazing string section, and I'm telling you, it is the most moody shit of all time. And third, I'm going to say A Piece of the Action by Curtis Mayfield.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's great.
With song. Now, damn, I want one more, but
With Mavis Staples.
yeah, with Mavis Staples. I want one more because Curtis is the greatest. And I'm going to just say this for honorable mention, Claudine. The Claudine soundtrack.
Yeah.
Wow.
And these are all songs that were written by Curtis Mayfield that were sang by Mavis Staples for A Piece of the Action and by Gladys Knight and the Pips for Claudine. And when you listen to these songs, if you know Curtis's writing and you know Curtis's vibe when you're listening to his music, it's like listening to those Aretha Franklin records like Jump to It and Get It Right, because those are like the Lost Luther Vandross songs because he produced those records. So listening to those records really give me that. So yeah, those are my 3 with an honorable mention. Floor is yours.
I actually didn't really think about it. I think School Days.
Oh, Straight and Nappy. Yes. Damn, why didn't I say that? Okay, all right, that's all right.
School Days.
I'll just come over to your island and you
No,
can
but I'm
play
saying
it for
that
me.
one gets me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, all the, you know,
Yep.
all the feels with all the songs, good songs. I was gonna say Claudine. You already said it as honorable mention though. So
Okay, but that could be one of yours. That's
yeah,
not an honorable.
I was gonna say that.
Okay, well then you can.
And then I want to say The Wiz, but I'm gonna say another one, just so we can talk about something else. You know.
Oh shit! Yeah, because I kind of went in on that. My bad.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. It's not a bad pick at all.
I mean,
That's right. Yeah.
and that's another record I can listen to
start to finish.
start to finish.
Yeah. Mhm.
That movie scared the shit out of me. You want to know what scared the shit out of me? That was some fucking scary shit.
It was too real, too much.
It was
like,
too real when he was downstairs and throwing the music all over the place and was yelling and screaming and shit and crying and come up here, motherfucker.
Right.
I was like, oh shit.
Clarence.
I thought I had it bad.
Was Clarence, boy. Clarence was.
Clarence, boy.
Boy, that was. Everything he was in after that, too, you'd be like,
oh, man.
scared of this nigga.
Yeah, everything he was in.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Tales from the Hood.
Right, Tales from the Hood.
Or
Half Baked.
Sugar Hill.
Oh, Sugar Hill. Wow.
That nigga said, woo. You were just recently in D.C.
Oh, yeah. Why were you
yeah.
in D.C.?
I want to talk about D.C. just
Let's
for a
talk
second before we
about
get to
DC.
Danny. We ain't forgot about you, Danny, though. I mean, you just...
I'm good.
You just... He's like, I'm just hanging out. I wasn't going to say nothing no way. You were just in D.C. recently, and, you know, I'm from D.C., and I'm the mayor, and I know everything.
You, the successor to Mayor Barry.
Yep, that bitch set me up. Goddamn bitch. What is that? I knew I should have come up here, that bitch. No.
Look, you got to watch the one about the dude from Toronto. You watch
I watched it. I just saw it. Oh my God. What? Yo.
He's like, yes, I smoked crack. He's like, yes, I smoked crack.
Said it.
Yes, I smoked crack cocaine.
And the reason, and I'm glad you brought Marion Barry up, because there's a lot of people who don't realize that man did more than smoke crack.
He did. He did a lot for this.
And not to mention, there are a lot of us who have a Marion Barry in our fucking family. You know what I'm saying? He was somebody who basically rebuilt DC from the ground up. He gave people jobs. He built a Pride program. I got one of my summer jobs when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot for the community. And, you know, from someone who has had their own transgressions in their life, you can always choose to come back from them and do something positive and do something meaningful for people. And that's what he did. And Marion Barry should not be someone who is just known for that. Granted,
11 Color got him though. That was
man.
You
know what's fucked up?
They
too?
got him so bad.
What's fucked up is when that happened. Okay, so I was in DC. I had to been in like third grade or some shit. And you know, motherfuckers on the corner, they always trying to make money and they make the t-shirts.
Yeah.
And this kid came to school in my class, third grade, and it was like a drawing of Marion Barry. And the shirt said, "That goddamn bitch set me up." And this nigga had to walk around.
This is DC.
This is we in Southeast. Okay? Bro, just to give you a little insight of where the fuck I'm from.
Right.
Okay? And this nigga had to walk around with duct tape on his chest the entire time. Mind you, we were in a school where you had to wear uniforms. So you were already out of fucking uniform. You know what I'm saying? You already going to detention for that.
Oh, God.
Who dressed your ass this morning?
That is a great story.
Bro, it's the truth. That's why it's great. Because I remember it like it was yesterday and we was all laughing. And I remember he tore it off at one point and he got in really big trouble. And he got called out and I don't think we saw him for the rest of the month. They locked his ass in the basement or something. I don't know what they did.
So why were you in DC?
Yeah, why were you in DC?
Well, I love the music and the culture of DC go-go.
Mm-hmm.
The go-go music and the culture. I'm born and raised here in New Orleans. And when I was, in the mid 80s, go-go music, all right, let me back up. For people who don't know, go-go music in Washington, D.C., Black D.C. and Maryland and Virginia is the indigenous music, right? Is born of Black D.C., working class D.C., and really not known outside of D.C., Maryland, Virginia. Starts in the 70s, and in the 80s, there's this period where people were trying to distribute it outside of DC so that it would become the next big thing, like hip hop for New York. That did not happen, but the two places that it actually took hold were London, because the major label that came into DC to distribute outside was Island Records out of England, and New Orleans, because they were playing those records on commercial Black radio stations when I was 9, 10 years old. And I remember it. And I always loved that sound. Also, what I told the people at the Go-Go Museum that I visited this past weekend, because they were explaining on our tour how people outside of DC may have heard of go-go if they were not from the area. And they said if they went to college in DC, Howard University or something like that, or if they were in the military, I said, add to that BET, because they were playing go-go artists' videos on BET video vibrations. And I remember it very, very vividly.
Video vibrations. Wow.
He had video soul.
Video
Yeah,
soul.
But
yeah,
video
yeah.
vibrations.
Oh, that was your
just
girl.
all the
That was
videos.
what was it? The Caribbean girl on there, huh?
No.
It was just videos.
Yeah, it was just videos, and they had, I forget what he was called, the unknown DJ or the unseen DJ. His voice would come on, but it was just video.
Gotcha.
It wasn't a host. They just show the stuff. And I just have loved the music, and I've always wanted to know more. And so I've been going to DC regularly since the early 2000s. Because what I realized is you don't really get that real go-go feeling unless you see it live in person. There's no recording, no studio recording on earth that will replicate what you get when you see it live. Now, the studio recordings, they made me feel good, but when I saw it live, I'm like, oh my God.
You feel it.
Woo,
You
my
feel
God.
it.
So yeah, that's why I was there, to get my go-go fix.
Just get that feeling.
I gotta go every once in a
right.
while.
So they get our fix.
Yeah, she had to get it. She had to get it. And I love that you're down there. I love that you're down there a lot. And I think a lot of the reason I moved to New Orleans is because there's a connection and a fellowship between the two. I feel like New Orleans really, as a whole, is just one big Southeast DC for me, but also musically, New Orleans has bounce, DC has go-go. And when you listen to them, you're really listening to the same thing. And I definitely feel a lot of the same feelings I feel from when I'm listening to Chuck Brown, Rare Essence, or Northeast Groovers, or you know what I'm saying? When I listen to bounce down here, and I feel a lot of that similarity.
Well, there is talking to each other in the characteristics. So for people who don't know, the primary instrument in go-go is conga drums.
I saw you on the congas.
That's not scary for New Orleans people. That's why it actually took hold in New Orleans, because we were like, we like this. We don't mind all of them drums.
That's part of the
beating.
culture. Yeah, exactly.
Also, call and response is a thing in go-go. Just like it is in New Orleans music, crowd participation, and quite honestly, just the funk in the music.
Yeah.
Even to this day, New Orleans and DC are the two last places left in this country where you have a culture of live music supported by the community where the bands are rolling 9, 10, 11, 12 members deep.
Mhm.
You don't have that anywhere else.
That's
But in
true.
go-go and New Orleans with the brass bands, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No more Earth, Wind, and Fire, no more Ohio players. But you have big bands. I went to see a band called Subtle when I was in D.C. on Saturday night, and I counted the number of members, and it was 12 people on the stage.
And that means that they love doing what they do.
Yeah.
Because they are not leaving with no money.
DC rent is high.
DC rent is high as
Hell.
shit. Which is exactly why I live here.
Wow, this has
You
been
know?
an incredible conversation.
Yeah, of course. Because
We
that's hey.
I don't even know what else to say.
I don't know what else to say. Danny Abel, ladies and gentlemen, on the news. Welcome, Danny.
Yeah. I think we're out of time. The world's fucked up. It doesn't matter. Cool. I do have a question. For Soul Sister. When you travel, when you like go to a gig somewhere else, how do you bring your records? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Okay. There's special bags that I can pack. Basically, I do not check records. Right. I bring 2 bags. They will hold about 120, and I can put one in the overhead and one underneath, and take care of.
And how much does like one of those bags weigh when it's filled with 120 records? It's heavy, huh?
Yeah, it is heavy.
Yeah,
that's
like
why I gotta
Between
work
airport
out.
records, right?
Do they have wheels? You can like wheel it through the airport?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But I do have to lift. But there was one, oh my God, that reminds me. I remember one time TSA, they wanted to stop and check. I said, okay, but be careful when you pick that bag up. I warned him. And then he tried to do it. And he said, oh. I said, I tried to tell you.
That's what he gets, you know?
I warned you. It's
Yeah.
heavy and very fragile, so I'm watching you. You know, don't be fingering my stuff. And scratching it and messing it up.
Yeah.
One festival I played at, it was the first one, and I was overzealous, and I'm like, I have to bring it all. So I actually bought trunks that I did check. Humongous trunks, like that. I probably bought 300 records over there.
God, damn.
To Jamaica. It was the first jam cruise that I was on. And I remember everyone looking at me and they're like, do you need help? I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I absolutely need help. Help me, please.
But actually, I don't want anyone to get hurt. So I do that knowing that I have made a sacrifice to have heavy stuff going on.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't really travel that often anymore, but I can do it, and I've learned to do it without having to break 300.
Yeah.
That's all.
records with me. And my preference is LPs and 12 inches, so I don't do the 45s, which are easier to transport.
But with 45s, you'd have to bring even more, right? Because it's just one song.
Yeah.
You have to be more involved too.
Yeah.
Wow. I was going to ask you, is it difficult to curate what you're going to bring with you, or do you just be like, okay, I'm going to bring this, and this, and bam, done, going to sleep?
Just like that. Yeah.
Must be nice being the greatest. We like to thank you for coming to our show.
Oh my God! Wow, that went so fast.
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, for sure.
We thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and you know how much we love you and how much we look up to you and how much you've done for us as musicians and as podcasters and anybody with the message. And we feel that you are one of the people who really know how to say what you want to say through the music, and that's what I think we all are trying to do in our lives as musicians, and more importantly as people. You are definitely like family to all of us, and because of that, I have a gift for you.
Oh, wow.
We got you a t-shirt.
Oh,
Shadow People
nice.
T.
Oh
Look
my
at
gosh! Look at this.
We have merch. I didn't know there was merch.
Thank you.
Is this the only t-shirt
that is a one of one?
One of
That is
one.
a one of one because you are one of one, and you only play shit that is one of one. So
I'm gonna put
Look at us.
Mayor
We
for
need to get a
life
picture
on the
of
top.
Mayor for life. That's right. That goddamn bitch set me up on the back. No train wrecks. My name is
Hashtag
Nigel
no
Hall.
train wrecks. Exactly. I'm Derrick Freeman.
And this is DJ Soul Sister with our man Danny Abel and Drew Bees on the keys on production.
Hound
And we want to
Sound.
give a shout out to the Brown
Hound
House
Sounds Pound Town.
Oh. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe. Shadow People Podcast at gmail.com.
We did it.
TikTok. We on Apple Music. Amazon, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube, which you're watching on right now. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good work. That was awesome.